Simone, I'm home. Hey. Wait, Lamont, what are you? The PCOS video. Oh, you see, look, I just don't want to be vulnerable. Okay, you're right. Vulnerability can help some folks sometimes. Well, let's talk about the PCOS.
PCOS, PCOS, PCOS.
Hey there, it's Dalyla, and today we are going to talk about my experience and personal journey with Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome, aka PCOS. Before we dive in, 2 quick warnings. 1, I am not a doctor. I did not get that PhD. I thought about it, but I did not. And I just understand from my own personal research and experience. And so when I'm sharing with you guys, it's really just my personal experience. And so take it with a grain of salt. For me, these videos when I first was diagnosed was helpful to hear from other women undergoing the same thing and not get caught in all the doctory language and just be like, sis, let me talk. So sis, we can talk, and hopefully it'll help you out on your journey. 2, for my other friends of the Y chromosome bearing existence, there is a lot of lady talk in this, a lot of woman health and woman life and personal woman health stuff. So if that is something that you feel like you are ready to bear and join us, then, and you are a boss like that, then come join me. I don't mind. Just don't be coming to me in person talking about my ovaries. But if not, please take this time to click off. And if that's not something you want to do or be a part of, or maybe like, I don't need to know Dalyla like that, then we can say bye for now and I'll see you again. But like I said, subscribe. So what is polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS, or PCOS? It goes by so many different things, and you're probably like, what is this? It sounds really intense, and am I dying? No. PCOS stands for Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. Poly, multiple, cystic, cyst, or like little lumpy lumps or balls, or anyway. Ovarian, ovaries, and syndrome. It's a condition that you are born with and is lifelong. It's not something that will change. Some people are like, it's genetic. Some people say
it's your life choices, baby.
It's the nature and nurture debate that we always have about everything. But to be honest, doctors don't know, and so I'm not going to pretend like I know either. So polycystic ovarian syndrome, the way you know what it is easier if I just go through the 3 diagnostic criteria. So there's 3 things. Catch it? 1, irregular or absent periods. 2, you got lots of cysts on your ovaries. 3, you got higher than average for a woman testosterone levels. You got 1, irregular periods. 2, system ovaries. 3, lots of testosterone. Starting off with 1, I'll talk about each of my experiences and figuring these things out in my journey with those. So 1, irregular periods. So I had my first period at 13. It was fine and dandy. I became a woman and it was magical. And from then on, my periods were always irregular. I don't remember a time in my life where I know that lifestyle of every 28 days it's time for the period. My period has always been, all right, girl, you just, you gonna come tomorrow? I'm not gonna see you for a year? Okay, well, it was nice seeing you. You know, that's how my relationship with my period was. And when I was in high school, there was a time where I just didn't have periods for extremely long periods. I was just living my happy dandy life, not thinking about it. But then in my senior year, I had a period for about a month straight. So nonstop, your girl was just like a leaky faucet. Periods were just, untrustable, and inconsistent in these streets and needed some character development. But I then went on to college. I still was in that irregular period life. And, I did my yearly duty, and I went to my gynecologist, and I was like, oh, I don't really get the periods, because, it's kind of nice living each month and day not bleeding out of your uterus. And I was happy without it. And I was like, doc, I don't necessarily want a period or need one, so if we can live life without. And she was like,
sis, if you don't have a period, you can get the cancers.
And I was like, oh, the cancers? I'll have the periods. I'll take the periods. So then she helped me to realize that it's not okay if you're a woman to not have periods, and to talk about why that problem was there. And so please, ladies, go to your doctor and get your stuff done and be honest so that they can help you figure out the issues. So the doctor offered me to either to deal and get my periods regular, put me on birth control for a while, where I would take birth control. I requested not to be on birth control. I heard scary stories about metformin, and she did say that I was pre-diabetic at that time, and so being that some people do metformin if they're on the diabetic side or if it's something, but for me, it's not something I want to do, and I'm trying to be natural, sister, with the people, and so I prefer not to take medicine if I do not have to. And so she offered me progesterone that I would take for 10 days. And in that 10 days, it would bring my period on. And I would just take the progesterone once every 3 months to get my body having periods. We'll let you know on a thing. Every time I got a period, it was like,
I feel like a woman.
no, it was like,
Ow.
not a good ow. Like, it was painful. My period was ridiculous. And I had permission to be a big baby because I felt like I was feeling the experiences of womanhood for the first time every time I had a period. And so just understand that fat inconsistency is a trade-off for that. 2, cyst on your ovaries. This is the scary part. When people hear cyst on your ovaries, you're like,
I've got the cancer.
You probably don't have the cancers. So good news. You might, talk to your doctor. I don't know. But most women, every woman has cyst on her ovaries. That is how the egg gets out of the ovary into the little tubey and goes down into your fallopian area. Oh wait, no, your uterus and that,
You know your body, girl.
So that's how that happens. So most women have cysts because they develop when the egg is leaving the ovary. And so don't freak out when your doctor says something about cysts on your ovaries. The problem is when you have excess cyst on your ovaries. Now, I don't want you to be like touching yourself, trying to figure it out. Just go to your doctor. They'll do an ultrasound or something like that. Get a little friendly, make a good friend. Y'all will be close. And they will be able to tell you if you have higher than normal cyst on your ovaries. Now, the cyst from Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome comes from your eggs not leaving your ovaries. That's why you have irregular periods or absent periods. Because your eggs are not leaving your ovaries, you just get a little bump every there, and the egg is just like peekaboo, but it doesn't want to go nowhere because it has attachment issues. The egg is really just sitting in there and chilling, and you got to kick it out the nest. You just get a bunch of little cysts along your ovaries, and so it'll look like, instead of a smooth surface, little ridges all over your ovaries. So that's where the polycystic part comes from. You go through your doctor to determine. They will be able to tell you. After I got fat test, my doctor was like,
yeah, girl, you got all the cysts. You got all the cysts on your ovaries.
And I was like, great. Glad to know I have eggs. 3. Testosterone. So, another scary thing, hormones. Understand PCOS is largely an hormonal disorder. Your hormones are complex, first of all. And I'm not an endocrinologist. I'm not that. And so I don't understand it completely fully, and I just don't really care to. I take what I can as I can. But largely it's just that your body is not creating enough progesterone, but it's creating excess estrogen and testosterone. And so if you have higher levels than normal for a woman of a testosterone level, that's the third sign to determine. That normally comes with a lot of really frustrating stuff for us lady folk, because hormones are very sensitive. Changing one aspect can lead to everything from diabetes to, because of the insulin experience, to some women experience facial hair, acne, the weight, just so many things with the hormones. Obviously, I'm very frustrated with, and let alone the insecurity when your doctor tells you
have higher than normal testosterone levels.
You're like,
Am I a man?
no, you are not, unless you want, your levels are off balance. I have been lucky to not experience some of the symptoms. Like, I don't have facial hair, or I don't have excess body hair really at all. My hair is actually grows in pretty thin, and you know, your girl could use a little thickness. And no, it looks like it's not that thick. Oh, I might get a little scraggly every now and then, and I just do a little clip. But I don't get excess facial hair or anything else, which is often a key sign, you know. But I do have some beard in me, you know, because I know if I had a beard, your girl would be rocking it, have a little dye and a little design. Okay. But no, I don't have that. Or the acne. I know that acne sometimes is a huge thing for women with PCOS. Those I'm very grateful to have not experienced, and I feel for you girls who it is, but know that, like, at the end of the day, your body is working for you, sis, and listen through, and I'll hopefully give some encouragement on that. One big thing that I did not expect to, but should have expected to experience with higher than normal testosterone levels was a pretty high libido. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but with my convictions as a Christian, as a woman, and even with societal expectations of how a woman and her sexuality experience and deal, I was struggling. I was like, can you calm it down a little bit? And I was like, I feel like this is not normal. And my mom is like,
You just been your 20s, girl.
and I'm like, nah, sis, it's something else. And when I went to my nurse, that was probably one of the most frustrating things to deal with, was trying to express how unhelpful having a high libido for where I was at life and some other issues that I had to work, or am still working through, have experienced. But that's all on that. Know that that's something you might experience. Some women actually experience no sex drive and libido, and some it's just the swings. And I noticed for me, it went along with my hormonal swings. Like, it was ridiculous though. And big thing that helped me was my change in medicine there for that. So just talk with your doctor. So after I got my hormones tested, I remember actually scrolling through Pinterest one day and seeing that there was a hormonal body fat distribution, and it was one of my biggest insecurities is my shelf, because your girl got a shelf, let's talk about it, but also just the way my body fat sits on me. And I found out it's a hormonal thing, and it's really when the fat is compounding around what is kind of your uterus area, right? So in the front and in the back. And it's what my doctor explained to me is that progesterone actually helps cut the body fat. Estrogen is that fluffy hormone. It's like,
Yeah, girl, put it on. Be like, I'm thick.
like a bowl of oatmeal. So estrogen likes to hold on to body fat. Progesterone cuts it. When you have lack of progesterone, your estrogen builds up. Testosterone may help, but not necessarily. And so your body holds on to body fat. Thus, the weight gain is ridiculous. And your body with the insulin resistance, if you're insulin resistant, can really struggle to process sugars and carbs and stuff that we like the good pizzas and fries, potatoes, all the Italian stuff. And so weight gain can be really easy to gain weight, really hard to lose it. Yeah, so that's a really big struggle with that testosterone. And for me, my weight growing up, man, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, 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 up. Girl, can we come back down? Please, please. No, my body weight has always been like so easy to gain weight, but to lose weight, I remember like I'd have to go to the gym every day for 3 hours and be eating healthy. And like I lost a ton of weight when I was training for a half marathon. And so I have a lot of muscle on my body and I'm able to do things and be fit, but my weight, it just stacks on and I felt like I'm healthy and why am I gaining weight? And so a lot of it when I got diagnosed with PCOS made sense. So that's Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. The 3 diagnoses is diagnoses, thingies, majiggers. You only need 2 of the 3 symptoms to be diagnosed with PCOS. However, I had all 3 symptoms. And so my doctor was like, yes, sis, you got the PCOS. And I reacted with all the emotions, right? Anger, like, man, me and God had it out. Like, why would you let me have this, you know?
Why is my body this way?
And just being angry with my body, so much so that I actually acted out angrily towards God and sinned in a bunch of ways and just like was fighting. I was sad. Biggest thing I think was that I always wanted a litter of children. I wanted like 6+ children, probably 6 and 5, 4, something like that. But I wanted children, and PCOS scared me because I read a lot about miscarriages and people having trouble with having children. And so I just was so sad. Like I remember just feeling like, will I be able to have kids? And I was now in fight with my body, you know, and mourning that in a sense. I found joy and peace at being able to finally know what was going on and having an explanation for all the stuff going on with my body. Nice to have something that made sense. There was also a lot of fear though. Fear that, you know, with the pre-diabetes, am I gonna die? You know, cancer, I gotta make sure I have my periods or else can I get cancer? With diabetes, I just don't, you know, diabetes is so scary. The diabetes, and I don't want to get the diabetes. And also just the unknown. To be honest, with all, PCOS is very vague. And your doctors gave me this one little pamphlet thing and like, they don't know much else, and they think they know, but they don't, and they can't give you explanations for why your body's acting the way you are, and then having to wrestle, like, so there was just a lot of fear of, like, the unknown, but there was also hope. I found a lot of hope along the way of getting to know other women with PCOS by doing research and by seeing things that really showed me that the expectations that I was grieving, that they might not be what they were, and I had to really go on a journey with my own body. A friend of mine who shared with me that she had PCOS, and I watched her have birth, unexpected, but have birth to her first child, and I was like, oh, okay. You know, and I've watched women go through miscarriages, and I never wanted to experience that, and so I was so afraid of the emotional struggle that would be. But seeing that, I was like, okay, it's possible. That's all I needed. It was a possibility. I had friends who would relate with me and show me that I wasn't alone. So as I got more open and shared with people that I had PCOS, people would be like, me too. And it was like a personal Me Too movement. One last thing that I want to talk about is where I am today. And that is a journey of acceptance and relationship with my body. So don't get me wrong. I say it's a journey because we're still on that walk, and I'm learning still, and I'm still learning to build relationship with my body, because PCOS has taken me through that whole emotional journey and really taken me to a place of insecurity. Everything from like, am I a man? And feeling manly with the hormone stuff and not having a period, and like struggling with my womanhood, you know, like having regular periods, having children one day, even just the way I was dealing with my sex drive, just stuff that really made me struggle with my womanhood, was scary. And the biggest thing, man, my weight was an uphill battle that caused me to constantly look myself in the mirror and feel frustrated because you're giving so much effort and energy, and it's like I'm in a wrestle with my own body. But some things that helped me along that journey, that helped me to take it a day at a time at where I am now, was I remember having a conversation, Shira, if you remember this, if you're watching this at all, who also has a specific diet she follows. And she explained to me a little story of how she sees her body as, instead of something that she's fighting against, she imagines it as like this little organism just, you know, trying to take care of her, doing all these little things to make sure that she has what she needs for the day, doing little work. Little work is just getting the job done. Like,
what we gonna do? We gonna make you look good. Yeah, girl.
and like, all she had to do was to feed and take care of her body and give it the tools it needed to help her. So instead of feeling like she was fighting against her body, it was about seeing your body as on your side, and you guys together are trying to make you the best you. Once I had that perspective, it doesn't mean it made it easy, but it helped to be able to look at my body and stop fighting with it, and instead to love her and embrace her and to thank her and be like, girl, you are fighting for me so hard. When I give you sugary foods, like the amount in which you fight, and I might overwork you and neglect you and mistreat you, and you're fighting for me. And just having that more sympathetic and compassionate perspective of my body helped me to consider the foods that I take in on a daily basis. And it also helped me to be able to focus on being more disciplined, you know? And it will help me because, you know, being a Christian, I'm already working on my discipline daily, you know, carrying that cross, girl. But it helped me to focus on it in particular this area, to focus on exercise, to pay attention, to be more aware of the foods I'm putting in my body and what my body's sensitive to. That instead of fighting against my body, that I was in relationship with my body. We're on the same side, and I just get to give her the tools to make us the best us, you know? So, and of course, I'm going to end it actually for me with the biggest motivation, and hopefully what will motivate you, is that I know you might be any of those spectrum emotions we mentioned earlier, but know that your body is a holy temple. And some of y'all might be like,
Rolls eyes, girl, what ifs? I thought you were gonna say something good.
but no, really, like, for me, that was the biggest thing. Like, in my faith, realizing that God created me fearfully and wonderfully made. And that scripture that identifies that, don't you know you are a temple? Is it 2 Corinthians? It's either 1st or 2 Corinthians. But don't you know that you are a holy temple? That God has placed his spirit in you if you're a Christian? And that, like, with that perspective, I know that I am not my own. And so if this is the body that God's given me, I better respect it, because I have too much love for my God to not to. That's my journey. You know, this felt vulnerable. I was afraid of making this video for a while, but thank you all for listening to my story. I hope that for some of you it may connect, and maybe give you hope or inspiration. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave me a comment so we can talk about it. We always like conversation. Without any further ado, goodbye for now to you, my friend. Because, you know way too much about me at this point, girl. Like, you all up in there. Like, you know a lot about my life and history. But, bye!